Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome in. Today is the 25th of February. Welcome to tonight's Sunday Night Live. We're going to go over a few different market news in the beginning, and then we're going to get into the charts. We're going to hit up some indices, metals, then move on to some Forex pairs, right? So the goal of this is for us to chart out all these points of interest together in which our trades are more likely to become successful trades, right? Higher probability trades. So POIs, points of interest, that's what we're going to be focusing in on. Excuse me. We're going to start off with the weekly charts, move on to daily, then 4-hour charts. All right. So without further ado, let's jump on these charts. So for now, you're going to be seeing on my screen, I will have the Forex Factory calendar. So we're going to go over the news for this week, right? We're mostly focused on red folder news, which are going to be seen over here. You have 3 different colors: yellow, orange, and red. Red are the ones with the highest volatility, and then usually these are like seek and destroy environment, right? This is seek and destroy targets. So they're going to pretty much take out all the liquidity for the buy side liquidity and all the sell side liquidity when it comes to this. So be very careful trading these conditions. I always suggest not to trade these conditions because of that. And you pretty much become liquidity for like the bigger whales, right? Like the people manipulating the market, the hedge funds, institutional money. You know, big money comes into play during red folder news, and that's really when they're using that in order to manipulate you and get your money, convert you into liquidity. So yeah, be careful with red folder news. It's pretty much gambling. So try to avoid as much as possible. That's what we're going to highlight here. So Sunday, right now, right? JPY, Japanese yen, that's the only news we have. No red folder. Tomorrow, Monday, we have no red folder news. We do have an orange folder, which it's going to be a little increase in volatility, but not too much. That's on USD, 10 a.m. All these times here are Eastern Standard Time or New York session time. That's what I have it set to. This is the current time zone that I live in as well. So this helps me out a lot. But you can always change the time zone here in the top right. Just click that and then change it to whatever time that you need it to be in order for you to have it as accurate as possible. Tuesday, we do have red folder. We have two red folder for USD. We have red folder for Aussie. And then we have it for the Kiwi, the New Zealand dollar, right? 3 different red folder news. Be very careful. Try not to trade those. Wednesday, we do have red folder for USD. That's the only red folder we have for Wednesday, the 28th. Then we're moving on to Thursday. Thursday, we have red folder all day for Euro. Then we also have Canadian and USD, right? Canadian dollar, USD, red folder at 8:30 a.m. my time. Then we also have CNY over here in the evening, Asian session. For Friday, once again, we have USD. This time we have it 2 times. ISM manufacturing PMI. We should be getting some good volatility here on Friday. All right. Now let's jump on the charts. So you should be seeing my charts right now. We're going to jump on NASDAQ. NASDAQ is going to be the first one we jump into. On the weekly time frame, we are still heavily bullish, as you can tell by these giant wicks over here, right? A lot of bullish momentum. Very clear that we're in a bullish trend. Let's go down to the daily time frame. What does the daily time frame tell us right now? We have a small retracement over here, right? We have a couple of points of interest that I did mark out previously, and it looks like it just smashed right through it. This right here looks like it played out pretty well. We're going to check it out on a lower time frame, but it looks like it pretty much rejected pretty well. This one candle here on the daily. But we're going to take it out, right? This is a 1 hour fair value gap 50% mark. Over here, we have another 1 hour fair value gap 50% mark. Just smashed right through it. And then we have here a daily FVG. FVG is a fair value gap. This one smashed through it as well, this bullish candle. So we're going to pretty much mitigate that, delete these over here. Let's move down over here. We have a 1 hour bullish and an order block. We're going to check this out on a lower time frame. It kind of looks like it actually mitigated through here, through these two candles, but we'll see a little bit clearer on a lower time frame. But for now, let's focus in on this area right over here, right? So this right here is going to be your daily fair value gap. Let's mark this out. We're going to get the 50% mark of this. And it's right over here. Now the areas we're looking for is in the fair value gap is nothing testing it before, nothing testing it after. This tip of the wick here is the highest point, and this tip of the wick over here is its lowest point, right? Because after that, it's actually testing this area here and testing this area here. So this is what we're focusing in on them. We're going to color you blue because we are still bullish. We're looking for bullish entries here. This is on the daily. We're going to also label this, right? So text is going to be daily fair value gap, 50% mark. Let's keep it like that. Short, simple, to the point. We're looking for bullish entries there. Now, if we also pull the OTE, the optimal trade entry, that gives you additional confluences. So we're going to do it from the bottom here all the way to the top. And then on the daily, you have these additional confluences as well. Right, so you have the optimal trade entries right over here. For pullbacks, looks like it might have some room. We'll see how the market reacts throughout the week. So for the daily, that's pretty much all we have at the moment for the daily, because even over here, it tapped in, mitigated, and then we have these other levels down here, right? If you don't have alerts for these, definitely set them. These are pretty important alerts over here. So you have this 4-hour fair value gap at 17,137.50. You have the daily fair value gap, which is going to be a very important point of interest for us as well. 17,045. Another 4-hour fair value gap over here, 16,917.75. And then we have daily over here, 16,617.75, followed by 16,539.25. Followed by a 4-hour gap within a weekly. This is going to be extremely important. 16,266.25, 16,232.50, right? Make sure you have your alert set for all of those. If you need to go back and review these, this is all going to be uploaded on the YouTube. Subscribe to my channel and you'll be able to view this video a little bit later. That way you can just pause and then mark out all those extra areas of points of interest for the future, right? So we're playing right now in the daily fair value gap. Over here, this level is at 17,833.25. Mind you, it's not going to be the exact same on every chart. Brokers vary differently. So my levels could be slightly different than yours by probably 100 or 200 on NASDAQ. So we're just going based off the 50% mark of this fair value gap here in the daily. So whatever the value is, set it to that for yourself. All right, for now, this for me, it's going to be 17,836. I'm going to color you blue because I am bullish and I want this to tap me in. Setting my alert right here on the daily. Now we're going to go down to the 4-hour time frame. Let's look for some additional confluences, right? This is pretty beautiful. Look at all these. Look at all these fair value gaps. And that is awesome. What are you right here? Yeah, it looks like this was tapped into mitigated. Completely smashed it. Right? Completely smashed it. But if you know AMD or the power of 3, right here it just accumulated. The fact that it just destroyed this area here, which is a very significant point of interest that we mapped out, because it had multiple fair value gaps and also multiple resistance turning into support, support turning into resistance, just confirms that this accumulation level here changed into a manipulation. And then this was the real expansion, right? I agree that in hindsight, it's easy to catch. Live, not so easy to catch. But when you're observing like the 4-hour candles and you see it play out, you can definitely tell. And then the moment you get this market structure shift, that's pretty much your confidence that it's going to go back into a bullish position. Now, checking out the OTA, right? My optimal trade entry, my fibs. Let's draw it again. So we drew it on the daily. and it didn't really look that great, right, on the daily, right? So you put on the daily, it looks like it's just floating out of nowhere. But when we go down into the 4-hour time zone, you're going to see 3 of those OTEs overlap in a 4-hour fair value gap. 1, 2, 3. This zone right over here, even though we have this daily fair value gap over here, now becomes an extremely important point of interest for us, right? Because you have 3 different confluences overlapping inside this fair value gap, which is the 4-hour one. And then you also have the 0.705, which is one of my values. You can also see the values over here. Let me show them to you for the template. Give me one quick second. For those of you that don't have these values written down, it's going to be right over here. Yeah, double click. Sorry about that. So the values I have is 1, 0, 0.62, 0.705, 0.79, and then negative 0.27. This is going to be the take profit level, right? You always draw from beginning to retracement, which is right over here. And the fact that we have all 3 of these pretty much overlapping inside this fair value gap leads me to believe like this fair value gap right here is extremely strong, right? This is going to be a point of interest for us. I'm going to mark this out, Alt H, color it blue. Coordinates for that one are 17602.75. Label it 4-hour fair value gap 50%. And then I'm gonna set an alert on that one. That one looks really, really good for me. So I'm gonna set an alert on that. Let's check this out. Weekly, daily. I have this on the daily. Honestly, by the looks of it, it might even just on the daily, it might even wick down all the way to that. And then some kind of red folder news is just going to shoot it back up. And then it's going to seek the buy side liquidity. But for now, let's focus in on those 2 different points of interest. We also have another one over here. We can mark this one out as well. Let's see how this one plays out. This one's at 17,753. We're going to label this as well for our fair value gap 50% mark. This doesn't really have any additional confluences. This one has 3 different confluences inside of it because all 3 levels of the OTE are with it. And then you have an order block sitting right over here as well. So pretty much like the fail safe should be 17,526.50. If it breaks through that and closes it with a 4-hour candle, that means that we're pretty much looking for bearish positions at that point. Now we're shifting as a market structure shift and changing the trend. But for now, we're waiting for a pullback into these 3 different areas, right? Daily, 4-hour, and 4-hour. I'm looking at this one as my highest probability and my juiciest, risk to reward ratio, right? Because if I will go into this one and long it right over here, right? What I would do is put my stop loss a little bit beneath that and then target this all-time high, this buy side liquidity. You're looking for a 2.14, right? 2.14 to 1 ratio. But if you get it in with like a 5-minute or 15-minute entry at that level, wait for your confluences, wait for your entry rules, then you can pretty much turn that into a significant RR, right? Just be patient. Now, does anybody have any questions for me in regards to NAS? Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. Any questions on NAS? I see someone typing in the Discord right now. Now we're good. Let me get 2 thumbs up in the Discord, then we're going to move on to gold. Or actually, let's do US 30. Let's check it out. Let's check out US 30. We got a good flow right now. Let's see what's going on in US 30. Oh, yeah. So I was expecting US 30 to tap into that. And then continuation to the upside. It did tap, but it went a little bit lower than I expected. But continuation's there, right? So I marked that out. Pretty cool. Right? Because we were all expecting it for it to grab some liquidity and then go right back up. And it did exactly that. Remove that fair value gap. Bias is still the same. Weekly, hella bullish, right? You don't have to be an expert to know that this is going up, and it's going up very, very strong. We have a lot of alerts set, so we can catch the retracements on the way down. But thankfully, it's very, very bullish, right? So no complaints there. Daily, what's up with our daily? Look at these important, beautiful levels. What are you? We're removing you, and we're now going to use you for our daily fair value gap. This daily fair value gap over here got tapped into. So that's the area that where I was looking for the entry and continuation to the upside. Right? That one got tapped into over here, and then it continued up. So this has been mitigated. Let's remove this. We are good on that for now. We're good on that for now as well. This is the bad boy we're looking at. New all-time high. We got you at 39,305.22. Right? This is the halfway point. This is what we're going to focus in on. Right here. Right? Give or take a few pips. Let's label you. You're not my daily, excuse me, fair value gap 50%. All right, so we're looking at that. And then the coordinates on that one are 38,871.13. Let's go down into the 4 hour, right? So for daily, that's pretty much what we have here. We also have another one over here, right? So we have a weekly and a 4 hour overlapping, 38.0 to 1.37. And then we also have over here 37,711.39. Then you have a daily 4 hour 37,394.29. Then we have a couple more over here, right? Daily 36,834.08. Weekly and daily together, Confluence 36,687.06. Daily over here 36,491.89. And then another daily 36,341.37. Cool. So we got those on daily. We have additional ones on there. Let's see what's up on the 4 hour. Right. We see this one over here, fair value gap sitting on top of an order block. That's usually a good sign, right? Double confluence is right there. A little bit added confidence when it comes to that little area there. Another fair value gap over here. These are tiny little fair value gaps. They're kind of too small for me to even consider them as valuable. I would say the one that I would even consider is this one because it's sitting on top of the order block. Even then, it's still pretty small for what it is, but we're going to mark it out, right? We're going to mark this bad boy out. Label you, 4 hour, FEG 50%. We're not going to go lower than the 4 hour, right? If you want to do that for yourself on the 1 hour, 15 minutes, or whatever it is, more power to you. We're going to focus on these higher time frame points of interest. Even though I've marked out on previous sessions the 1 hours, I would definitely want for all of us to stick to weekly, daily, 4 hour and keep those as our points of interest, with the entries being the 5 minutes and the 15 minutes. So don't focus so much on the 1 hours. Once it gets to that 4 hour area, prepare for some good stuff to happen, right? So we got this 4 hour fair value gap, 50% over here. Coordinates are 38,568.68. And let me draw the fibs, right? For Confluence. Starting retracement. And then you see over here the 0.79 overlaps in this area where the fair value gap and the order block both meet. So this right here is going to be an additional Confluence over here as well. All right. I like that a lot. So let's keep that. I'll move this down a little bit so it's not as messy. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So over here, this has been tapped to mitigated. These are the few that have not been mitigated. Right, this is violent. This is okay. This is good. So yeah, we're going to be expecting this retracement somehow work its way down into here, probably with all the red folder news that we're going to be getting. tap into this area here, two different confluences, 4 hours sitting on top of the order block. It looks pretty good. Then you also have 0.79. If you want to also type it in, you can type it in as your confluences. So put 0.79 level and sitting on order block. Right? It's always good to, write as many notes as possible. So when it gets to that area, you already know what's up, right? Because if you're setting these alerts, sometimes you set so many alerts that you kind of forget, like, hey, what exactly am I doing in this area? Set your alerts, set your notes, put as many notes as you want. Keep it as short and simple as possible, but as detailed as possible. So at least when you know your alerts go off, boom, 4 hour FEG. This is blue. I'm bullish, right? Bullish for value gap. 0.79 is my retracement, meaning these are my areas of entries. If my take profits up here, I'm looking for bullish movement. So all these little different confluences, they play in with this, right? So for me, like, this is good enough. Setting some additional notes because of the confluences. And we're looking for this area here. This is going to be our sweet spot for the retracement. So daily, we have this over here. And then the 4 hour, we have this over here. Right? 38,871-ish. 38,871.13. And then this one over here, 38,572.96. Kind of big difference, right? Between the daily and the 4 hour. Meaning we're probably going to see some screwy action when it comes to these red folder news, all this volatility. So daily levels are still going to be pretty much the same. It's still going to be bullish unless it breaks and closes underneath it. Then we're going completely bearish. That's going to be a market structure shift. But if it continues how it's going, it's going to just be a fat wick on the daily candle. Tapping into that 4 hour. 4 hours looking like the sweet spot right now too. Just like Nas, the 4 hour spot is a sweet spot. Now, does anybody have any questions for me with US 30? Do you guys feel comfortable with US 30? Pretty much the same conditions as Nas. We're going to see a retracement into the 4 hour zone. And then the 4 hour zone is a little bit lower than the daily. Awesome. Thumbs up in the Discord. Let's move on to gold. I feel like we have a really good flow going this week. Really good flow. All right, gold, what are you looking like? Gold looks like it's retracing, right? So we're forming higher lows, but we also have higher highs. Excuse me, lower highs and higher lows. So right here could be ranging. We could be in a ranging market like this. Right? I'm going to mark that out. Color you P yellow. Right? Set the opacity to probably like 5 there. Let's lock you in. Let's see you ping pong. All right, so like last week I was saying that we'll probably tap into this area again. This little red area here is what I'm looking for shorts. So right now it looks like we are going to be ranging for a bit if it's like this on the weekly. Let's go down into the daily. What's up? So you guys remember this daily inverted fair value gap over here? Turned into a good little level, right? So we call this out. This fair value gap was broken into, mitigated. Now it became an inverted fair value gap. Broke through again, sat on it, and then continue up. It's a good little area right there. So this right here, it tapped into it perfectly, just like we wanted it to. Let's close this out. It's been mitigated. Let's close this out. It's been mitigated. What do we got over here? 4 hour fair value gap. Has it tapped into it? No, it has not. Still not mitigated. Or has it? We'll check it out. But right now it's on the daily. So let's mark you out as a fair value gap. This might actually overlap with the fair value gap on the 4 hour. Let's check you out on the 4 hour. 4 hour and the daily fair value gap are exactly the same. That's usually a good sign. So let me go down to the 4 hour and adjust that. If I can click it. For hour and daily. That's perfect. That looks great. What else do we have on the daily? I don't see anything else that's a clear indication on the daily. And that's fine. Because it is kind of like a ranging market. Let's go down to 4 hour. 4 hour, we do see a nice point of entry over here. This looks really solid over here. Let's check out the OTE here. Here's a retracement. Love that. Look at that. Confluence. Confluence, baby. Confluence. So we got two different OTE, my fibs, overlapping with the fair value gap over here in the 4 hour. We're going to label this. This looks like a really nice point of entry here. Remember, the brokers might be a little bit off. I'm using ACAP. If you're using ACAP, use my exact coordinates. We're looking at 2024.59. This is a 4 hour fair value gap. And then I'm going to put OTE confluence. Right? We have the 0.62 right above it and the 0.705 right below it. So the opening of the fair value gap and the closing of the fair value gap, almost to the exact 1 pip right there. It's insane. It's so accurate. So weekly, we're ranging. Daily, we're ranging. Right? It looks like on the daily, we're looking to seek this buy side liquidity over here. We can actually label this. So we know this is a point of interest that we want to see it targeting. This is going to be our buy side liquidity. Once we tap into that, then we're looking for shorts. I still have this area marked out over here. I still have my 4 hour FVG 50% at 2077.87 as my target. And then once we have any price action moving into that area between the 2071 and the 2082, I'm looking for shorts. I'm looking for an entry on the 5 or 15 minute as a short. We do have some red folder news coming up. We could see it hit this week. We could see it hit tonight, but only time will tell, right? We're going to wait for those red folder news. Now, guys, do you have any questions for me in regards to gold? I see Soul is typing in the chat. All clear? Awesome. And let me know if you guys see any additional confluences as well. If it matches up with your charts, I would love the feedback, right? Remember, guys, this is very casual. This is for all of us to learn together. And I definitely do appreciate your feedback. So we have gold marked up over here. Looks like we're pretty good on gold. Let's move on to the next pair. Let's go to Euro USD. I probably need to trim down this a little bit. All right. So weekly, we're losing momentum, right? Right here, we're actually forming a lower high. These are equal lows. And then over here is a lower low. Boom, lower low. And then we got a higher low, equal lows, lower high on the structure, right? On a higher time frame in the weekly, we're having a nice little pullback. Now we're looking at this on the daily. Mitigated, mitigated. This has been mitigated. We're playing out over here. Right? We wanted to tap into this level here. And then we were looking for shorts into our levels over here, down here. Right? Once again, I'm on ACAP. So your levels, your numbers, your coordinates, whatever you want to call it, are going to be off a little bit. This daily and 4 hour fair value gap, which is what I'm seeking, right? This is my take profit. When I do my short over here, it's at 1.05985. I'm looking to enter around this area here, this 4-hour fair value gap. Yeah, this area over here. It looks like we already tapped into it. I got to go down into my 4-hour to verify. On the daily, it rejected off it completely. Bias is still solid. But let's check it out on the 4-hour, right? We also have additional confluences here because I was expecting it to retrace, tap into this, and then continue up, and then tap into probably this July 2023 weekly fair value gap 50% mark over here because that rejected off it completely. Tap into it one more time, and then continue it on downward momentum. Let's check it on the 4-hour, see how that worked out. Right? On the 4-hour, it wicked off it completely as well. Right? Because this entire thing here, this red area, is the fair value gap itself. And the fact that only the wick went through the fair value gap, we're pretty much a little bit over the 50% mark with the bodies, and that's fine. But the wick wasn't able. Yeah. The wick was the only thing that went through the fair value gap. There was no candle body itself closing beyond the fair value gap, meaning this is still valid. Now it might pop back into it again and then reject and finally go down. So that's what it looks like might happen. But also remember, we just did a market structure shift to the upside. So now we're looking for bullish positions. Even though this area here is very bearish. But we got to play, you know, structure to structure, right? We got to catch these moves structure to structure. So that's what we're going to be looking at right over here. So this structure, what it's telling me is boom, right over here. We have a bullish fair value gap with a bullish market structure shift. So we're looking for bullish positions. So make sure to keep this one as a valid level and set your alerts on this. This could be a nice little entry that we might tap into this session, actually. It's close enough for it to tap into this session. So I might tap into this London session tonight in a couple of hours, but we'll see it play out. This is going to be a 4-hour fair value gap, 50%. Let's draw some fibs. Let's see what's up. 0.79 is like right above it. Right. Not too confident in this fair value gap. I might just tap into it a little bit, break through sell side, come back up a little bit, and then continue down. I don't have too much confidence in this one, like really holding it back. But it's just important to know and to have.
You know what it was? I went in the pool, and sometimes it feels.
And guys, can you please mute your microphones? Because I can definitely hear your conversations in the background. Thank you. All right, so I mean, not a lot going on over here when it comes to Euro USD. My bias is still the same. This area here, I'm looking for shorts. And my true area, my take profit is going to be over here in the daily 4-hour fair value gap 50% mark. So I'm looking for shorts in this area into here. And then once it gets into this area, then I'm looking for longs. Then I'm going bullish, right? From here upwards and then targeting this area here, which is at 1.10742. And then somehow, some way from here in this area, we're going to pretty much die down into this area. But not exactly sure. It is a little bit choppy, not very clear indication, but the overall picture is it's got to go down after having some kind of reaction, price action in this area. Needs to go down, collect liquidity, shoot up, collect liquidity, and then continue the downward trend. Now, that was Euro USD. Do you guys have any questions for me in regards to Euro USD? Honestly, like on the daily time frame, looks pretty clean. Looks pretty solid. And then a message from Soul in the chat. Shorting EU is more safe. Correct. Yeah. I mean, right now I'm just very bearish. That bullish fair value gap right there, I'm not very confident. Like I said, I'm not very confident in it, especially with like the higher time frame structures going bearish. But you could actually scalp it, right? Depending on the news. We're marking it because it's a point of interest. There's people that scalp on a really low time frame. Could work out for them. That could be a perfect entry. But as of now, yeah, I'm bearish. I'm still bearish until we get down into this level over here. 1.05985. Let's go on to... I'm not a big fan of GBP JPY. What do you guys want to see? You guys want to see GBP USD?
Oh, just curious.
Revelation, can you mute your microphone, please?
What do you mean?
All right, we're going to go over GBP USD. Guys, if you want me to go over a specific pair, please let me know. So GBP USD ranging on the higher time frames, right? So when I get to the lower end of the higher time frame of this area here, when we get to the lower end, we're looking for longs. When it gets to the higher end, we're looking for shorts, right? Premium, discount. Give me one moment. I just have to mute everybody. Yeah, you gotta mute everybody. Apparently, some of y'all don't want to mute your mics, and then I can't hear myself think. Right? So cool. On the higher time frame, we're looking for premium zones here, discount zones here. Short this, long this. Right now we're ranging. So until we break through this range, that's what we're doing. Just ping ponging. Let's go down into the 4 hour. 4 hour looks pretty choppy as well, but we have this fair value gap over here. 50% mark of this. Looks like we just missed it. It tapped into this area here on the 22nd, this past Thursday. Right? From here to here, tapped into it and now rejecting. Looks like it might actually be going down into this weekly 4 hour fair value gap 50% mark, which is 1.24354. We'll watch it play out. But as of now, I don't really have much else to give you guys. Let me mark this out for you so you can have this. And then do with this area as you will. Like I said, I'm not going to go down into lower time frames like the 1 hour, but I'm pretty sure you can probably find an entry there on the 1 hour. I want to keep it all higher time frame. And then you see right there, that is the 50% mark, right? To the pip. This is the whole fair value gap. And then that's the rejection of the 50% mark right there. So we should definitely see it play out. We also have here, if you're using easy algo, right? I have a confirmation right there with the little X that you have there. It's part of the settings. That's going to be your reversal trend indicator, right? Your reverse trend indicator. Whenever you get that low X, that means market structure shift is changing down. And then we also have the easy algo oscillator. So it looks like the trend is changing a little bit bearish. So we're looking bearish, right? For me, it's a little bit difficult to read. Let me actually go down into the 1 hour for you guys so you can see it a little bit better. The structure's a little bit better. Yeah, structures are forming here. It'll probably ping pong in this area here too, because you have a fair value gap here, followed by a a bullish market structure shift. So it'll probably just tap into here, tap into something there, tap, and then work its way down, right? But for us, we want to maintain points of interest, weekly, daily, 4 hour. 1 hour, you can see it right there. Could ping pong. But as now, 4 hour looking kind of choppy on GPUSD. We kind of missed the entry over here on Thursday. So if you didn't get into this area here, tapped into this area, you might have a possible re-entry. But as of now, I don't really feel too comfortable like just blindly jumping in. I want to wait for a confirmation. Catch a market structure shift on a lower time frame and then just try to ride it out to this sell side liquidity here and then leave some runners going down into this weekly 4 hour fair value gap. But as of now, what I will do is I'll set my alerts over here on this one. And then this one down here. Remember, I'm using 8cap as my broker. 8cap as my broker. Weekly 4-hour fair value gap, 1.24354. And then a daily 4-hour, 1-hour fair value gap, 1.23442. That's pretty much it when it comes to GBP USD. Right now it's just ranging. You guys have any questions for me in regards to GBP USD? By the way, all this is going to be uploaded to my YouTube so you guys can rewatch it as many times as you need. So you guys can get a little bit more clear indication of how I'm seeing things, or so you could just pause, take screenshots, and mark everything as needed. I don't see any questions in the chat, so we're going to move on. Does anybody have any suggestions in regards to Forex pairs they want me to go over? So what pairs do you usually trade? So I usually see you do gold and then some kind of variances with euro. Yeah, EU. So you do EU, you do gold. Question is my YouTube link. Yeah, I got you right now. Warren, we did NAS 100 in the beginning. You can definitely watch my YouTube once it goes up and it goes into depth. I went over the weekly, daily, and a 4-hour. Marked out some pretty good levels for you, okay? So just wait until I upload it tonight. It's going to be uploaded as soon as possible. And then if you need the link as well, it's going to be inside the live recordings channel, which I'm linking here in the chat as well. So this live recordings channel, I'm going to upload the videos as soon as it gets uploaded to YouTube. EJ has been running like crazy. That's an interesting pair. I've never really looked into that one. So let me pull it up. Damn, the structures look really nice. So EJ, did we do, question is, did we do USD JPY? No, I did not, but I'll do that one next. That's a good pair. So weekly we're bullish, daily bullish. We're in a pullback, but looks like we're about to break that structure over there. All right. So we got two different fair value gaps over here on the daily. We're looking right now at the Euro JPY. Really nice price action. Yeah, very bullish. Very, very bullish. What does this look like? Fair value gap right over here. Let's check this bad boy out, right? Fair value gap up to here. Blue. Blue because we're bullish. Blue, bullish. Blue, bullish. Right, and check that out. We did the OTEs, the optimal trade entries. So you can see confluences. Inside this fair value gap, you have all three of them with the 705 overlapping exactly where the 50% mark is. So I feel confident in that being my point of entry. And then continuation to the upside. That looks beautiful. Let's mark you up. You're my daily. Daily fair value gap, 50%. And then 0.705 OTE fib. We're going to start adding confluences on these as well, so you guys can feel more comfortable when it comes to entering these areas. So for now, I'm looking to enter this when it gets down to this level as a bullish position. If anything presents itself up here, like on a 4-hour, as a bearish PD array, such as a FEG or like an order block, let's check it out. Let's see if maybe we have a point of entry there so we can tap into here and then target all the way down here. We have a fair value gap over here that's really close to the price action where we're at right now. I don't feel too confident in it because of the fact that it's significantly smaller compared to this fair value gap. This one, right? So there's a lot of other fair value gaps that have quite a bigger area, but these are just so small. To me, they're insignificant at the moment. This area here is 160.252. Let's check this out on a lower time frame. Let's go down to 4 hours. See if we see anything else. Right, so price action over here is developing a market structure shift soon. So if this continues going down and closing, then we're gonna get a market structure shift. So for now, what I would do, right? So we have two fair value gaps in here inside this daily fair value gap. That looks great. We're gonna mark that as well. 4 hour slash stash, 4 hour daily, and then also the 0.705 OTE fib overlapping with the 50% mark. All right, so that looks good. Here, what I'm looking for price action to leave a fair value gap after an imbalance on the 4 hour. Somehow, somewhere, it could be on one of these red folder days. That's going to be your like top notch point of entry, right? That's going to be your highest probability. Because at that point, you're seeking and destroying this area here. At that point, once you do a market structure shift here on the 4 hour and you have a fair value gap, that's going to be your point of entry. This is your target right here, this bad boy over here. There's so much confluence in this area. Price action is just desperately wanting to go back into it, right? So for now, we do have these fair value gaps here. This one's been tapped and mitigated, tapped, mitigated. This is still solid, solid-ish, right? You have an order block that it's sitting on top, which makes it pretty valuable. So it could go one or two ways. It'll tap into it, reject, consolidate, and then really break down into one of these red folder news days. Or it'll tap into it, shoot up here, eat up all this buy side liquidity, and then work its way gradually down. But either way, I don't know. Honestly, I don't feel confident because I don't really know this pair too well, right? But going by the weekly, tapped into the over here. Now we're closing candles lower than previous structure. It looks like this might be the pullback that we need before really going through. So on the weekly, we will be expecting a pullback, right? Tap into that and then continuation to the upside and make new all-time highs, I'm assuming. I've never really traded this pair, so bear with me. We're looking at an all-time high over here. So let's mark this out. Let's mark you out. And then I'm going to label you all-time high. All-time high here looks like it's 169.953. That's the top of the wick here. I'm looking at all the price action. Price action starting since the July 1993. April 1st. Right? So that's what we're looking at right now. All right, cool. All-time high is going to be 169.953. Looks like we're seeking that. But in order for us to continue making all-time highs, we need to collect more and more liquidity. This retracement seems the most reasonable option. And yes, why I do agree, we do have really nice price action. We need to get a nice retracement in order to just break through these highs. So yeah, I feel confident in this being my area of entry, 0.705. And then if you want to do whatever you want to do up here to catch that short, you're more than welcome to do that. But for now, I'm just going to chill back and just wait for price action to do its thing, come down into here, and let's shoot for that all-time high. Mazi, do you feel comfortable now with EJ? Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah, sometimes it's not as complicated as it needs to be. But we just have to look left, right? So it was really, really important for me to check out that all-time high. I've never really traded this pair. So that really paints a picture, like a clearer picture. Since we're so close to that all-time high, kind of like you can use as reference like Nas. Nas, we were near the all-time high, created an all-time high, then price action retraced hard, and then it started playing out closer and closer. And then it was pretty obvious that it wanted to come and take out the new all-time high, and it did. And now it's just forming new all-time highs every single week which is nuts. This is playing out kind of like the same. Price actions testing close enough, forming nice market structures, and then just continuing to collect liquidity, seeking that all-time high. Let's go into USD JPY. USD JPY. So we're expecting this to break through, collect some buy side liquidity, and then continue down into this weekly fair value gap and continuation to the upside. Looks like it's playing out, right? So it's supposed to be mitigated by these daily fair value gaps here. I'm a little bit confused because I don't see daily fair value gaps. These might actually have been mitigated a while ago. But my target for now is collecting buy side liquidity. So this little area over here, that's what I'm looking for shorts. And I'm targeting down here. Let's check you out on the daily. What's the daily look like? So these daily fair value gaps, let's remove these. These have been mitigated. Price action blasted through it. Price action is bullish. But I need a retracement. So I'm waiting for that retracement to come by. We have some fair value gaps over here. This one's been tapped to mitigated. Here is a daily fair value gap that looks really good. And this one's sitting right on top of an order block as well. If you're using Easy Algo, Easy SMC is going to mark out the order blocks automatically for you. Easy Algo is going to show you like points of interest and also support and resistance level. But with the Easy SMC, I'm looking at the order blocks. That's going to be a confluence for me in regards to my PD arrays, right? So I have one PD array, which is a fair value gap, and then I have my order block, which is another PD array. Stack them on top of each other. That kind of adds like a buffer, right? So imagine it as like being like two different layers as like protection. And we're expecting price action to tap into that and then just like react off it pretty violently, since you have more than just one confluence, right? You have that, which is the FEG. The 50% mark inside the FEG is what we're looking for. But then you also have the order block as kind of like your safety blanket. Now, if it breaks through it, you can bet the price action is just going to pretty much break through it and continue forming like a market structure shift to the downside. And then at that point, we're looking for bearish momentum. But until that time, we're bullish until we're not. So we're looking for bullish momentum, break through this buy side liquidity, eat up all that liquidity, come down, and then continuation to the upside. Right, so this area here, this 50% mark, we're going to mark it out as well. I'm going to label you. Remember, I'm using 8 cap. This is the daily 50% mark. And that level is at, bear with me, folks. We're looking at 148.638. That's what I have for now. I do have this weekly one as well. Take a screenshot of this. Make sure to have these levels here. And these levels are going to be extremely important for us. These are very important levels. So we have 143.137 and then we have 142.526. Yours might be off a little bit depending on your broker. Just take a screenshot of this and then plan it out the same way, right? At this fair value gap and over here on the weekly. At this fair value gap. This weekly fair value gap is sitting on top of an order block. So this is going to be high quality, HQF. Let's go down to the 4 hour. Four-hour here has not been tapped into yet or mitigated. So let's put you to the side. You're still active. You on the lower time frames look really good. this 4 hour fair value gap, tapped into, mitigated, smash right through it. We have a couple in here, but these are inside the daily fair value gap. So we're just going to add on to this, right? So 4 hour daily fair value gap. Daily fair value gap, yeah. So these have been tapped into. So the levels we're looking at for now, 148.63, right? It's 629, but let's say 63. And then we also have 147.25, right? 147.249. So round it off to 147.25. But our real goal is these two levels on here, 143.137, 142.526. But it looks like we're going to tap into that buy sell liquidity, collect that liquidity, and then just shoot down. Still waiting for that to happen, but that's how I see USD JPY playing out for me as I mark that over here. Now, Marcel, do you feel confident with USD JPY? Do you have any questions? The weekly zone looks really, really good. So like, set alerts on those zones. That weekly zone needs to be something that you trade, because that's going to be an extremely high quality trade. So if you have a good solid, if you have a good solid strategy and it's been playing out well, use that strategy inside that area. If you don't have a strategy, we have user strategies here that are part of your pro subscription. Start looking into those. And then on top of that, I have 8 different entry strategies that I found from a fellow trader on Twitter that I'm going to post here in the chat as well for you guys to review. Yeah, definitely. So Marcel, if you don't feel confident, feel free to shoot me a message whenever. But here, this video is going to be uploaded to YouTube for you to rewatch, go over it slowly, write notes. If something doesn't make any sense to you, you can always like Google it, YouTube it, or write down that same question for me, and then we'll go over it next Sunday together, right? The whole point of this charting session and all these charting sessions right on Sunday is for all of us to learn from each other, grow together, become better traders, be able to see the charts better, more clearer, right? Because in the beginning, for me, the charts was just a bunch of noise, a bunch of candles, a bunch of indicators, a bunch of everything. Let's try to keep it as simple as possible. Let's mark out the best areas, which are points of interest, in which our trades are higher quality, and just get into the habit of charting it every single week, so we don't constantly on a daily basis force trades just because we want to be in the trade. That's not the name of the game. We're going to identify the points of interest in the beginning of the week, and then we already know, hey, once price action gets to this point, this is how I'm reacting. And remember, nothing's 100%. If it doesn't happen, then you know at that point, okay, now I'm looking for the opposite, because price action didn't do what I wanted to. Now I know it's going to do the opposite. So now I'm looking for it in the opposite direction. So instead of me being bullish in this area, now I'm bearish in this area. And then you can start to see it a little bit clearer, right? So don't take your losses as losses. Just take them as, okay, price action changed. It's a change in structure, right? It's a market structure shift. And then use that as your baseline for the next trade once you have a good, solid entry. So I have a question in the chat. Kindly explain how you mark the 50%, the point of entry, right? So for example, what we're looking for in regards to points of entry, we're looking for these things called fair value gaps. Fair value gaps are what happens when a candle structure, a candle structure has a lot of volume behind it, right? So if you can see this candle is significantly bigger than everything else around it. Now, you also see that this candle is small in comparison, and then this candle is small in comparison. Now you're left with all this area here. So the bottom of this wick, all the way down to here, this wick, are the areas in which there's no volume before the candle and there's no volume after the candle. Nothing tested this. right? So this area here becomes an imbalance, a fair value gap. What I do is I have this rectangle tool here, which you can find over here on the left-hand side, geometric shapes. Click that, go to rectangle. There's also a hotkey, Alt-Shift-R. Go from the tip of the wick, because we're looking for price action. We're looking for any kind of movement in the area. So even the tip of that wick, that counts. We're going to go to the other tip of the wick over here, which is right over here. Right? And mind you, these are just lines that I formed, so please ignore those for now. I don't want you to get confused. We're looking just for the price action. This one I can move up a little bit. Let me just adjust it because I need to see it a little bit better. Right, that tip of the wick. So we're looking for the candle before, that candle after. Right? I have it marked out as well in the settings for my rectangle tool. The middle line, you select that and it shows you the 50% mark. That's the important area that we're looking for. This imbalance will always be a fair value gap. And then we should be seeing price action retest that 50% mark, right? So keep an eye out for those fair value gaps. To also make it a little bit clearer for you and train your eyes, what I do is I use indicators to train my eyes, right? So I can see it a little bit clearer, the picture a little bit clearer in the beginning and get into the habit. There's a couple of different habits I did in the beginning. I would study a topic every single day, every single morning before opening my charts until I could explain that habit as easily as possible to someone else, meaning I fully understood it. And then also using indicators, not for my be all end all when it comes to entering trades or winning trades, but more so I can learn to see market structure, to see fair value gaps, to see the things that I'm marking out. So for now, I definitely recommend FVG by Nephew Sam, right? That's what it's called, FVG Nephew Sam. Have that as your fair value gaps. So that way you can start training your eyes. And remember, the point is for us to train our eyes to be very well at identifying these things, that we can see them without the indicators. So that's less noise for us to worry about in the charts. For now, I have them active so you guys can see the fair value gaps a little bit clearer versus me drawing out every single fair value gap. I usually trade with these off because I already see them. But you, as you're getting started, as you're getting used to the fair value gaps, use FVG by Nephew Sam until you see them clearly every single time, but have them marked out. And Marcel, yeah, I definitely try to explain it as easy as possible. Because I do understand, like in the beginning when I was learning, there's a lot of these concepts that now looking back, I would say like they were explained in a very advanced way. I just try to explain it as easy as possible, as approachable as possible. Because some of the concepts, even though they might seem like you're explaining them simply, doesn't make any sense whatsoever to beginners, right? So it's just making it as simple as possible because we do have to acknowledge people's different various levels of knowledge when it comes to like trading the markets. Because it's a lot of information. It really is a lot of information. And like I said, make some notes, write down some questions, anything specific you want to go through. We'll go over it next week. If you don't have any additional questions for me tonight, then definitely write down some questions for me next week. But I'm going to give you guys a couple moments. If you have any like last questions for me tonight, let's go over them. And if not, then it's all good. Yeah, Warren, I try to make it as easy as possible and simple as possible, right? Because like I said, at the end of the day, I just want to identify the points of interest in where your trades are more likely to be right. And that's what we want to look for. We're not trying to, be in every single trade, every single hour of every single day and every single session. That's not profitable. You want to be in the best probability and in the best situations for you to win every single trade. That's what you want. You want to use every advantage to your advantage. Yeah, and it's my pleasure, guys. Like, I definitely want to be able to hear. I definitely want to be here to explain to you guys everything as much as possible. and as easy as possible for you guys to learn. That's the whole point. As long as you guys are learning, I'm happy. And it looks like I don't have any further questions for tonight. I definitely do appreciate you all for joining me this evening. We're going to be back together here, same time next week. We're bumping up the schedule. Instead of being 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to start doing them at 8 p.m. on Sundays at Eastern Standard Time. I do notice I see a little bit more participation during the 8 p.m. I think it's more accessible for you. So we are international based, right? We have all the different sessions from all over the world. So I definitely want to get as many as you actively into these live sessions as possible. So definitely thank you everyone here for participating. Thank you so much. This is going to be uploaded to my YouTube channel as well, so you guys can review over the different pairs that we went over, and for you guys to take screenshots, look back on, and feel comfortable. So without further ado, that's it for me tonight, folks. Have a great trading week and have a very profitable and very, very, very profitable trading week. Thank you so much. See you again next week. Goodbye for now.